Joining me now is author and political commentator Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
Shemeka Michelle.
When God looked at man, he said it's not good for man to be alone. He gave him a woman. He didn't give him a village. He didn't give him the community. He said, be fruitful and multiply to this man and this woman. So it's supposed to be God, husband, wife.
If you always do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always got.
A good woman doesn't like women because she realizes that women aren't good people. Happy Monday. Welcome to Shaking My Head with Shemeka Michelle. I am your host, Shemeka Michelle. And when we talk about domestic abuse, people always picture a man abusing a woman. But what happens when it's the other way around? When the man is the one being controlled, manipulated, or emotionally broken down. This month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But what most people don't talk about is how many men suffer in silence. Society tells men to be strong, to man up, to take it. But abuse doesn't stop being abuse just because the victim is a man. Today, we're talking about the misandry hiding inside modern marriages, how women can emotionally or even physically abuse men, and how the culture helps them get away with it. Now, that quote that I said initially came from a man. I got that message maybe 2 weeks ago. And then last week I got a call and a man said, you have to talk about misandry. Misandry in marriage and misandry when it comes to motherhood between a mother and a son. And I said, I do need to talk about that because so many times it goes overlooked, ignored, and men are rarely recognized as victims of domestic abuse. Prior to really getting into politics, I used to do a brunch every October for women. Typically, it was for victims or survivors of domestic violence. We called it Women in Waffles. So one Saturday, every October, we would come together and we would just have women who had actually experienced domestic violence to speak to other women, to encourage them, and we would honor someone who had lost their life. I think it was the last year that I actually did the brunch that we had a male victim who we honored, who had lost his life because his wife, who was always abusing him, finally took his life. And it was strange because I heard the people who went to church with him say that he would always come to church with scratches or marks on him. And it was well known that he was being abused, but no one really cared because he was a man. And no one really cared because he was still walking around. He was alive. He was still with her. And so many times we say, well, if you hate it so much, then get out. But many times men don't even realize they're being abused because, and I say it all the time, women are not held accountable for their abusive behavior. Maybe some women don't realize that they're doing it, but they are. They actually hate men. And some women may say, well, I don't hate men. I still want to have sex with them. So clearly, I don't hate men. Some women may say, I don't hate men. I went as far as to marry one. So clearly, I don't hate men. There are some women who have birthed male children who would say, I have a son. So clearly, I don't hate men. But the buck stops there. And they never take a deeper look at their actions, which show they may, in fact, actually hate men. Before we get started, I want to share this video that I came across. And then I want to read the reaction to it, right? Let me share this. Hello to everyone. Thank you for joining me today. Hi to everyone in the chat. Miguel, Khalees, Sharisa. Miguel, I want to say I really appreciate the way you are constantly telling people in other chat rooms to watch the show. I just want to give you props for that because you don't have to do it, yet you do it consistently, and I really appreciate it. This is Jennifer Lopez, who has been married, I believe, 4 times, but in countless public relationships that we've seen. This is Jennifer talking about her experience, and I just don't buy it. But we'll get to that. Let me make sure the volume is up. It is. Here we go.
Do you think you've truly been loved?
No.
No. And do you think you really have experienced loving someone?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah.
And when you can't get that love back,
What I learned, it's not that I'm not lovable, it's that they're not capable.
they can't love.
They don't have it in them.
They have
They
no-
need to appreciate the little person inside of
They
them.
have
They
little
need to
to
love
give.
them. Yeah.
You've been in relationships with
And they
people.
gave me what they had.
Right, but
They
it's not
gave me
enough.
all of it. Every time.
But it's this much. It's a
All the
little bit.
rings, all the things I could ever want.
Right.
They tried to give me the houses, the rings, the marriage, all of it. But
They didn't love you
they didn't,
and didn't know you.
and I didn't love myself.
Of course, Jennifer, it's like most women, you hold no blame, no accountability. You're just jumping from man to man, marriage to marriage, relationship to relationship, and it's not you, it's them. They don't know how to love you, but you were nice enough to say, but they gave me what they had. But I've never really been loved. And I'm so glad, guys, that one, because again, she's been married multiple times. One of Jennifer's husbands decided to speak out. Bear with me because I don't, English is not his friend. So I'm going to read it as best I can. But I appreciated him putting her in her place. This is in reference about the recent interview on the Howard Stern show, where my ex-wife, Jennifer Lopez, aka J-Lo, said that she never been loved or capable. Stop putting us down. Stop putting me down with your victim card. The problem, it's not us, not me. The problem, it's you. You are the one who couldn't keep it in your pants. You have been loved few times. You've been married 4 times and have had countless relationships in between. You have had good relationships. Me, for example, I was in love with you. I even moved out of state, leaving my job, my family, and friends behind to support you, to love you, to protect you, and to care for you. I'm an amazing, loving person, great human being, honest, faithful to you, never lied, never misbehaved, never cheated on you. I was too good for you. I'm too good of a man for you. But you chose fame and fortune. Moving a part of our relationship. You decided to lie, to cheat on me, and even though I stayed, I even tried to keep the marriage going and alive. You even begged me to stay because at the time you didn't want bad press, caring more about you, about your career instead of saving the marriage, and I stayed. But you win for the fast line of your career, stardom, not caring about me. You wanted to continue on cheating and lying. I couldn't stay anymore and deal with the constant lying. That's why I left you. That's why I divorced you. Tell the truth for once. Let people know that you are the problem. You should be embarrassed and ashamed of yourself. Now, typically, we would say, oh God, beta male, don't say, save the women for somebody else. Because here's a man standing up for himself, and we would typically say that's weak. That's him being emotional. But I'm so glad that because he has a celebrity wife who's just going around dragging every man she's ever been with, that the least famous one of all decided to actually speak out and say something to her and call her a liar, because most of us feel or have felt for a while it's Jennifer. The way she bounces in and out of relationships, it's probably her. And Jennifer would be one of the ones to say, I don't hate men. Look how many times I've been married. But her actions say something totally different, as does Jada Bell Pinkett Smith. Remember all of the times that we've watched her absolutely embarrass her husband? She has made Will Smith, who many used to love and adore, look like an absolute weak, neutered man. He looks weak because Jada Bell is a Jezebel. That's why I put it together. Jada Bell really comes across as someone who hates men. Married to the man, been with the man for years, has had his children, but the lack of respect there is clear, it's obvious, and even Stevie Wonder could see it. We talked a few weeks ago, we believe Stevie can see a lot more than he's putting on, but even Stevie Wonder can see that Jada Bell is disrespectful and possibly hates men. So we're going to get rid of the stigma today. We're going to get rid of the lies, and we're going to talk about the emotional abuse tactics that women use in relationships. We talked on Thursday how women, you need to unpack your bags. That some of you are carrying around bags, emotional trauma, and before you can allow love to move in, you need to unpack those bags and get rid of that junk. So kind of continuing in that, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, ladies, and say maybe you don't even realize some of the things that you do to men really fall under abuse. I'm being kind. Because I think if the roles were reversed, we would actually see it clear as day, see it a mile away. But a lot of times when it's us, we don't see it. Today, I'm being nice. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I may be more of a bitch by Wednesday or Thursday. But today, I'm being nice and kind, okay? Emotional abuse tactics, the silent treatment. Ladies, when you don't get your way, many times you give this man the silent treatment or you withdraw your affection. That's abuse. He didn't take out the trash, so he ain't getting none. He didn't do what I asked him to do, so he ain't getting none. He has upset me, so I'm not speaking to him. I just watched a video earlier in preparing for this when LL's wife admitted on the Oprah Winfrey show that right after they got married, the video came out for his song Doing It, and she saw all that he was doing in the video, and she said she didn't speak to him for 2 weeks. Oprah didn't say one word. I never saw her come under fire for going 2 weeks without speaking to her husband. She knew exactly who she was marrying. He was already LL Cool J. Ladies love Cool James. It is James, isn't it? Anyway, but she knew who he was. But once the video came out, she decided she wasn't going to speak to her husband for 2 weeks. Ladies, if the shoes were on the other feet, you would have an issue with that. If the roles were reversed, you would have an issue with a man walking under the same roof as you, deciding he wasn't going to speak to you. He was going to give you the silent treatment, or he was going to withhold. Let's say, since you ain't giving him any, let's say for 2 weeks, he decides, I'm not going to provide. I'm not going to protect. I'm not going to stand in my role as a husband, because I'm going to use emotional manipulation to get this woman to do what I want her to do. You be calling your mama, your sister, your girlfriends, getting them on the line. You be calling the pastor, anybody you could think of, because your husband has decided he's going to withhold from you for 2 weeks. That's emotional abuse. And women, you're lying if you act as if you don't know what I'm talking about. Many of you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you've actually done it over and over and over again. Another emotional abuse tactic, ladies, we are unpacking the bags, because I told you had bags, but we are unpacking them even more. Public humiliation, belittling. I put Will and Jada Bell on the thumbnail because we all have watched Will be publicly humiliated for years. Some of the times that Jada Bell has humiliated Will was when she was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, when she said she was addressing the rumors about them being swingers, and she actually said, I wish. Lady, in front of all of these people watching, you actually said you wish y'all were swingers. So how I hear it is, you wish you could sleep with another man. You wish you could bring another man or woman into the bedroom. Why would you sit here on national TV and say you wish you were swingers, as if your husband isn't enough? That's public humiliation. Let's go on to talk about how in 2019 she was on Instagram and she was doing an IG live, and she was telling people about how much their counselor had helped them in marriage. And then she just turns the camera to Will. And Will says, I think you should ask my permission before you just put me on the camera. She began to belittle him because he actually had a boundary that she felt like she didn't need to respect. Public humiliation. When she talked publicly about the 40th birthday party he threw for her, and saying that it was a great display of his ego and how much she hated it. Instead of just privately saying, I appreciate this, but let's, maybe not have any more of these big parties. It's not really my thing. She publicly ridiculed this man after he said he had been planning her 40th birthday party for 3 years. wanted to surprise her, and she publicly ridiculed him for it. And he said how low that made him feel. Ladies, you may not be as famous as Jada, but think about any time you publicly humiliated your man or belittled and embarrassed him. That's emotional abuse. I can even remember when Gabrielle Union was on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and she made mention of the things Dwayne Wade likes in the bedroom, including some anal play. That's public humiliation. One of the other things, ladies, is constant criticism. You are just constantly criticizing this man, sometimes for the smallest things. I've seen women completely ridicule or criticize their man online for folding the towels incorrectly. Now, listen, I have a special way. I like the towels folded as well. I think there's only one way. If you're not doing it my way, you're doing it wrong. But do you know, if you fold them and don't fold them my way, I'm still grateful. I'm not going to make a mountain out of a molehill. Sometimes, lady, you are constantly criticizing these men for absolutely no real reason. Just constantly criticizing them. Sometimes that criticism, ladies, come when you're constantly praising someone else. You're constantly praising your ex, constantly praising someone you was in a relationship, going back to Jada. How we are constantly seeing her talk about her feelings for Tupac, and how Will wrote in his book that he was tortured by the legendary love they had. She even publicized a letter that her daughter, who is Will's daughter, wrote to Tupac, a man that was dead long before she ever came to be. Published a letter that Willow wrote to Tupac saying, "I wish you were here to make my mama happy." Willow saying, "I miss you." A man who was dead before Willow saw the light of day. Yet, these are the things that Jada allows or promotes to emotionally abuse her husband. And yes, Will has been sticking by this woman. What they say, bad marriage for life, he's been sticking by her. But sometimes those who are being abused don't even realize it. When you talk about abuse, when I used to do these domestic violence brunches, and I would go to the actual safe houses or the homes that actually tell about domestic violence, and they would, donate brochures or pamphlets or whatever for us to give to the ladies, they would tell us that many times people being abused, they don't realize it, or sometimes the abuser has ostracized them to the point and broken them down so much mentally that they believe, without this person, I have nothing. This is the only person that loves me. This is the only person that will be there for me. I talked to a man who was an abuser, and he said, I don't do it anymore, but when I was into abusing women, I would break them just like you would break a dog. And then once you've trained them, they are just as loyal as that dog and they aren't going anywhere. So sometimes those who are being abused, they don't even recognize it. And when you're a man, most times you're ashamed to even admit it because you will be ridiculed simply because you are a man. And people will begin to question your manhood or your masculinity because you're putting up with such foolishness. But it's been happening since the beginning of time. I call Jada Jadabel because I married Jada and Jezebel. Eve told Adam what to do in the Garden of Eden. It's been happening since the beginning of time. Manipulation, control, and this is all emotional abuse. Financial control or threats to ruin reputation. Ladies, that's another emotional abuse tactic. Many times the financial control comes from the man because typically he makes the most money. But there are instances when the lady makes more or the lady doesn't make more, but she's threatening to take it all. So I'm going to take it all and ruin your reputation in the process. Or I'm going to tell this, that, or the other and ruin you in the process. That's emotional abuse, ladies. That's emotional abuse. And statistics say 1 in 7 men are abused. I think it's 1 in 3 women, 1 in 7 men. But they say that statistic is actually more than that. It's just that men typically don't report it. So that 1 in 7 is probably closer to the 1 in 3 that women experience. Okay? Have you ever, those in the chat, head shakers, have you ever felt like you couldn't speak up about mistreatment in your relationship because people wouldn't believe you? This is to men and women. Have you ever felt like you couldn't speak up simply because somebody may not believe you? So you just keep quiet and you endure it and you don't say a word. Many of you have experienced the emotional abuse that I'm talking about. Let's talk about the saying, happy wife, happy life. I hate that saying because a lot of women have used that to manipulate their husbands or manipulate the person they're in a relationship with. Happy wife, happy life. Meaning, bow down to me, do what I want you to do, say what I want you to say. Let me be in control because then if I'm happy, everybody in the house is happy. That man could be miserable 2 seconds from blowing his brains out, and the woman will never know because happy wife, happy life. We talked some episodes back about how sometimes women are more focused on what the man is doing over how he's doing. What is he doing? Is he cheating? Is he talking to somebody else? Let me watch his Facebook. Let me get in his IG DMs. Let me check his text messages. But never saying, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing mentally, emotionally, physically? I mean, just how are you doing? You ain't got to turn them into a woman, but how are you doing? Just checking in and doing your part to be a good woman instead of just hoping some other woman isn't around. If you are just busy doing what you're supposed to do as a woman, you can't focus so much on if there's another woman. I don't remember that episode. Maybe somebody does. They'll drop it in the chat, but we discussed that. The happy wife, happy life idea is conditioning for male silence. Just shut up, nod, wave and nod. Nod and wave. You don't have a say. You don't have a voice. You are not the leader in your home. You're not the leader in your home. And society rewards men for self-sacrifice, punishes them for boundaries. I was looking at again online, and I saw someone posted a picture of Ashanti, the singer, Nelly's wife, in her bathing suit on the beach in the Bahamas. And some men didn't think she looked attractive anymore. Of course, it's social media. People are going to put their opinions out. But I watched how women, mostly, there were some men, ridiculed the men for having negative opinions. Just wanting to punish them for saying, yeah, she's a little bit too big for my taste, or, oh, I think she's gained weight, after having a baby. Blasted. Even if they said, I'm just saying for me, it's not my particular taste. Men aren't allowed to have boundaries without being ridiculed, without being told they're wrong. I know we discussed before, or I discussed it somewhere, how on the show Pop the Balloon, if a man, even a little tiny bit, tells us what his preferences are when it comes to a woman, the other women get mad and will pop their balloon because they don't like that he don't like the other woman. How dare he say he likes natural hair? Or how dare he say he likes a smaller frame woman when women do it all the time? Men don't get to have boundaries. And toxic masculinity frames any male frustration as aggression, as toxic aggression. We've allowed them to say any type of male frustration is toxic masculinity. That's manipulation, ladies. That's manipulation. And some women believe that controlling their man equals empowerment. When again, if the roles were reversed, we would see it as clear domestic violence. We would be complaining that he was being domineering. He wants a doormat. But we say nothing when we see the women wearing the pants and clearly being disrespectful. Let's go back to Jada Bell having Will sit at her red table to talk. To talk about the fact that while she was married, she got into a relationship with her son's friend. And they claimed that they needed to talk about it because the rumors were out there and they were swirling. And no, she wanted to publicly humiliate and belittle her husband, because most people when Will got up from that table, a lot of people felt like he was weak. A lot of people felt like Jada Bell was wearing the pants. Will sat there looking sad and defeated while she sat in her chair with her shoulders back, chest out, sitting Indian style, like she wasn't crushing this man or chopping him down to make him feel like hamburger meat. The fact that her show was getting a lot of views and it would get a lot of views even after it aired and people would be talking about it made her feel confident, strong, and empowered. We've watched some of y'all favorite First Lady, Michelle Obama, completely publicly humiliate her husband, talking about how miserable she was or how much she disliked him for about 10 years. Because this man had aspirations, dreams, and goals. She disliked him because as a lawyer herself, she had to put her life on hold so that he could pursue his goals. And maybe he didn't have as much time for her, or maybe she had to give a little bit more at the house. She hated him or disliked him for 10 years. Why did we need to know that? Public humiliation and belittling. That's abuse, ladies. And it comes across as if you actually hate men. I don't care if you're married to one. I don't care if you tossing your legs in the air for one. It comes across as if you actually do not like them. You could bend yourself up in a pretzel. Put your legs behind your head. If you cannot respect him, it comes across as hate, period. It just does. And there's nothing that you can do to say anything differently. It's almost as if some of you get some type of sexual gratification for publicly humiliating these men, for tearing them down, for taking their voice, and just making it so hard to deal with you. When I was on Pearl's show week before last, we were talking about Brittany Renner and how she put the camera on PJ Washington when he came to pick up his son, and how she was ridiculing him. And of course, she put it on the internet and it went viral, and she was talking all this trash to him. And I was saying, I watch women do this all the time. I watch Erica Mena do it to Safari, just constantly belittling him, saying what a horrible father he is. And I honestly feel like if I had to deal with some of what these men have to deal with when it comes to women, I would be a deadbeat. I would be a deadbeat dad. I get so sick of hearing women say, well, he wasn't around, but he should have fought harder. Why does he have to fight it all? If this is a child that he created, why does he have to fight you, Jezebel? Why should you be in control and not allow him to see his child? If he's not trying to hurt this child, why do you feel like you should use this child as a pawn? You feel like you're hurting him, but you're not hurting him. You're hurting the children. The children you all claim your mama bears for, that you all claim you love. And many of you want attention so bad, and you want to be in control so bad that you get online and want to put yourself out there as this single mama holding it down, doing it all by yourself. when you know that's not the case. But y'all don't look at the abuse that you inflict. You don't look at the hard road you make men get on. Some of you refuse to shut your big mouths at times and just go for peace. I don't think some of you understand what peace is. Maybe PIECE, because you're in pieces, but not peace, where you're easy to get along with and easy to be in relationship with, and you understand how respect looks. Some of you have no idea what respect is because you refuse to give it. Hi, Graham Coogs. Thank you for being here. Sharisa, I always say the same thing about women who get into fights in all of their relationships. Is it the men or is it the woman? Right. And ladies, learn how to keep your hands to yourself. People are constantly ridiculing Chris Brown for what happened between him and Rihanna, but nobody's ever saying, you know what? Rihanna should have kept her hands to herself. Rihanna shouldn't have been spitting on that man. And I'm not saying that meant he had to two-piece her. All I'm saying is I understand. Daryl Lord, he called her out on her BS. Yes, I was so happy when I saw that. Calling Jennifer Lopez out. Call her out. If J-Lo ever hits the wall, her kids are grown and gone. She'll only be with a dog, cat, or both. And I feel like she didn't hit the wall already. I don't think she has realized that because I just recently saw her. I don't know, she had on like a bathing suit or something, performing online as if she was still 20. And she does look good for her age, but she's still her age. And I don't know why women refuse to just embrace the age that you are. You can look good. I want to look good, you know, but you will never be 20 again. And that's just the truth. Nothing will be sitting up the way that it did at 20. You won't be as fit, as firm as you were when you were 20. Ladies, just cut it out. Miguel says Will Smith is a bi-simp. Now it has come out that he plays for both teams, allegedly. Sharisa Jones, I used to love Will way before Jada. When his album came out, he's a DJ and I'm the rapper. Now I just look at him as the weak ass slapper. Miguel says Sharisa Jones is called the shaming ritual. When these famous people of the world sell out, they become bi and then go through the rituals to stay relevant. I feel like that's what we're watching as well with Snoop Dogg. And what's so crazy about Snoop Dogg is they said a lot of suspect stuff in some of their songs early on. Like when he said, Luke, well, I know Dr. Dre said Luke's bending over, so Luke's getting F. And then I remember Snoop said something about with my nuts on your tonsils or something like that. That's all suspect. But they come across as if they are these thugs. Hi, Jack. Thank you for being here. That would be held against us for 10 years. Sharisa says he should have invited the August Asino guy to her birthday party, right? And embarrassed her. Hey, Thomas, thank you for being here. All these people into the menage a trois having someone else join the freak off in them sheets. Shaking my head. Yes, I shake my head over that as well. Just nasty for no reason. Jack Burton says, I haven't met a woman that folds the towels tighter than me. I need to see what your towel folding skills are, Jack. I don't know. Do they all go the same way and everything? I need to know. Oh, Jack Burton says, damn, I bet Shemeka can fold some laundry. Yeah. Miguel Pac swung both ways also. He was very fruity in some of them, some of those videos they showed prior to him being Thug Life. Some of those videos when he was in the school, him and Jada met. Real fruity. Real fruity. Let's see what we got here. I'm skipping past some of them. Oh, thank you, Thomas. This is me. My hair is a mess, okay? I took the twist out and it's just a mess, but I appreciate that you like my little blue that I got going on. I tried to coordinate. Bang, bang, bang. I tried to coordinate. Churchianity. Miguel says churchianity pushes that happy wife matriarchy BS. Put the woman on a pedestal. No, we're supposed to put the Most High and Messiah on some pedestals. Thomas, men are scared to look like a punk if they admit their feelings are being hurt by a woman. That's true. Hi, Alicia. Thank you for being here. Y'all, please share and like this. Please share and like. Comment. Sharisa Jones, I remember being abused as a teenager. I just knew it was love, but my best friend was quick to point out, girl, he is crazy. That's not love. I finally believed her after he shot at me and our son. Love is blind. Ain't that what Eve said? It'll take over your mind. Yeah. I don't even know you and I hate you. Hi, Earl Grey Bay. Thank you for being here. Tupac was a great actor. He really convinced people he was a thug. And Jada just doesn't respect Will's acting skills compared to Tupac's. She don't respect anything, it seems, about Will. I know she's grateful, for the children, but they even seemed a bit messed up in the head because of what they witnessed and how they've been raised. It's ridiculous. Again, this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. The month is almost over. And someone had told me, like, you could still do the Women in Waffles. You could still talk about Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Just do it online. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And it took me to the month is halfway over or more than halfway over to say, we don't discuss the men enough. And we need to include the men in some of this victimhood. Men are not going to lay down and just run and be victims. But as women, we have victimized a lot of men. This whole Me Too movement victimized a lot of men. It was abuse. And men a lot of times face legal disadvantages. Women, a lot of you weaponize the child support system against men. And not because you need the help, not because you actually need to feed the child or clothe the child or whatever. Some of you weaponize the child support system because you're mad and you're angry and you're bitter. That's abuse. That's a bag that you need to unpack. And it's unfortunate because I just don't think it's fair that when a woman can't feed her child, she can go and get food stamps and all of this help from the government. But if a man is struggling financially, he goes to jail. And then while he's in jail, that child support is still adding up. It doesn't stop because he's in jail, it's still adding up. So, ladies, some of you do it, and you know you do because you're mad, angry, and bitter. It's not because always that this man just refuses to help you with the child. That's not always the case. That's the narrative people run with, but that's not always the case. And emotional and physiological or psychological scars are real. Depression, anxiety, and even suicide. Sometimes these men are calling it quits, ladies, because you know he was already on the edge. And he said, "Don't push me because I'm close to the edge." And you said, "Boop, go on over. I don't care. Happy wife, happy life." Not realizing he's actually miserable. True equality means acknowledging all victims. True equality, ladies, mean you taking accountability for your bullshit when you know you are on it. That's true accountability, ladies. And some of you, just as I feel like there aren't, when black people are like, "Oh, we just want equality." Some don't want equality. They want to see white people in chains, white people bowing and bending and getting whipped and shackled. That's what they want to see. I feel like there are some women who are constantly talking about equality that don't want to be equal. You want to be in charge. You want to be in control. And you want to rule men the way you think they have ruled women. So you don't see anything wrong with your behavior because you call it empowerment, and society has allowed you to think that is that, when that's not what it is. It's abuse. So I want you ladies to self-reflect on your controlling or belittling behavior. While you're unpacking these bags that we talked about on Thursday, do some self-reflection on your controlling behavior, your belittling behavior, the orgasms you have when you are actually publicly humiliating your man or being publicly condescending towards him. I want you to self-reflect and unpack that bag of your desire to be in control, to tell your husband what to do and then dare him to ever say anything because happy wife, happy life. Or you dare him to say anything because you're going to put him on blast. If love requires fear or silence, is it really love? Is it really love, ladies? As we close, if you or someone you know is a man experiencing abuse, you are not alone. There are confidential hotlines and support groups for men too. Real strength is in honesty and healing. Now, maybe your situation is not as the situation I spoke of when I started, when he actually lost his life. Maybe your situation isn't that. Maybe you are just with a woman who is very selfish and self-centered. Ladies, maybe you don't hit him, you don't try to fight him, but maybe you are just controlling, condescending, and belittling. Sometimes men go out here and get entertain others, not because he's just, he doesn't have any type of control. Sometimes he's looking for peace. Not a piece of ass, peace. Because some of you are just not peaceful women. Jack Burton, equal only in positions of power, not bricklaying, right? You ain't gonna see them out there laying bricks. They want power. Yes, my husband always says he's gonna make a documentary called Scars You Don't See about men being abused. Earl Grey, long as you're not the one doing the abusing, then we're gonna support that film because it needs to be out there. No man wants to admit their wife or girlfriend was slapping them in the head the night before. Right. It can be embarrassing. Is woman on man abuse the most unreported crime in America? It could very well be close because they definitely say the 1 in 7 isn't accurate. High stimulated students, thank you for being here. Will is a very insecure man. Look at him now. He still wants to be the Fresh Prince. Probably because this was before Jada Bell. BJ, before Jada. That's what, too bad. That's what the BJs in his life stand for, before Jada. Yeah. Well, I'm so glad we had this time together as well, Sharisa. I'm so glad we had this time together. Hi, Carolyn. Thank you for being here. We went on vacation with my sister-in-law and her husband. We couldn't wait to get done with the vacation. She just rode that poor, sweet man every waking moment. See, ladies? And other ladies can see it. They may not say anything all the time, but they can see it. It's embarrassing. Your man is embarrassed, and you need to do better. Misandry, you come across like you hate men, and I don't care if you're bent up like a pretzel. I see it, and it makes me shake my head. We're going to discuss this again tomorrow, but the mother-son tip. Because some of you have birthed male children, and it's clear you hate them. I'll be here tomorrow, guys. Same time, same place. Peace.